Where is the symmetry?
Father, your obsession with symmetry is your downfall. I am a neglected child in all your pursuits to get symmetry. I have become wild as A-kon in the Anatole.
Back in the A-kon Anatole days, we were straight wallin'. So that's why I kind of found this joke a little funny. But what's up, everyone? In today's video, we are here to talk about none other than A-kon 31, better known as A-kon 2022. And yeah, the last time I even talked about A-kon was in 2019, so it's been quite a while. And while there were issues with that year, this year had a different set of issues. If you are new here, I talk about gaming news, we talk about anime news. Occasionally I'll do some anime reviews and do some video game reviews. But it's all about stuff involving both industries, as well as when I have time, I'll go to a convention, let you know what my thoughts are on it. And I've been going to conventions for a long time, which, by the way, I have done a couple of convention videos, but this is actually Anime Oklahoma was the first one to actually get some views. And by views, I'm talking about my standards, small YouTuber standards. I'm just saying this to say that if this is content you enjoy, please let me know down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to, because I do have a lot of things I understand, like with the channel, there's multiple things I'm covering, but at its core, it's anime and gaming content. But if there's something like this that may be an occasional video here and there, and you're not really interested, let me know. And, you know, we can cover something else. We can dig deeper into anime. We can dig deeper into gaming stuff within the industry. But if this is something you enjoy, let me know that as well, because I am more than happy to talk about conventions. It's one of the few things I do when I have a little time off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Ryofu and you are watching The Gaming Harbinger. So I wanted to kind of give an explanation on how I review and discuss things involving conventions. So I have a lot of experience and comparisons to draw from over the years. And at the end of the day, though, it's ultimately about what you find value in. It doesn't really matter what I think. I appreciate you listening to my opinion. But if you feel like you had an awesome time at a convention and it may seem like I'm pointing out some cons and negatives about something and you're like, oh man, well maybe it wasn't as amazing as I thought. No, because your experience is your experience. But with that in mind, it doesn't mean that we can't draw comparisons and have discussions on things. So as I've said countless times, it really depends on what you're into in regards to if a convention is for you or not. So as I've said in previous videos, A-kon is ultimately heavy on the cosplay scene. So naturally, what they're going to do is have a lot of cosplay guests. Okay, so let's start off with some positives, because I like to start off positive. This was not the same place as it was in 2019, thank God. That means we weren't outside every time a panel ended. This was my main complaint about A-kon 30. They also had multiple speed dating panels and friend-making events going on. I know that anime is no longer exclusively a nerd or geek thing, but I think it's cool that they have stuff like this going on to help young people. So the location for concerts, it was off-site again. So in 2019, this was the first time I ever experienced concerts being at an off-site location. Mind you, the location was an area that had an amazing setup and layout, perfect for concerts, perfect for like having a bar on each side, all good stuff. But we're talking like if you were to walk there, it probably would have been about 40 minutes. And so we did find out eventually that we had to catch a shuttle to get there and then ride a shuttle coming back. But still, a lot of these circumstances weren't explained to us. So we had to kind of ask around, and that was really a pain. So for this year, it was at the Toyota Music Factory, and this was walking distance. And when I say walking distance, we're talking like walking maybe 10, 12 minutes, maybe, maybe a stroll. Yeah, I'd say something like that. But anyways, it wasn't far at all, and it was perfect, to be honest with you. I mean, perfect for a concert. And we had a bar once again, so no complaints on my end. And I actually enjoyed both the concerts. And yes, panels actually had rooms. So this time around, panels were actually in individual rooms as opposed to being in one big room. And you have curtains everywhere. That was insane. I understand they were in like just a predicament. They were in a lose-lose situation, so they had to come up with something in 2019. But this year, there were just a typical panel was in a regular room. I will say this, there was a small caveat with this, and that is ultimately the rooms were a little on the small side for some of the panels. But I mean, they made it work, and like I said, this is still ultimately better than having curtains, just being in one huge room with multiple panels going on. And some people are playing music, some people are, talking with a mic or whatever, and it was just madness. But, even the guests were complaining about this in 2019. So one of the pluses I really enjoyed was that they mailed out our badges this year. And there was a time long ago that A-kon did do this, but I don't know if it's due to the size or what, or if it has nothing to do with that. But there are other conventions, I think, like Anime Fest, that mail them out to you. But some of the conventions I've gone to, they just don't do this anymore. But it is greatly appreciated. It saves you one less line. So, I mean, gold star for me. No complaints. The banquet gave us an open bar, which they may have done this in the past, but I don't remember this. And this was a huge plus. I mean, got a free drink out of it. No complaints on my end. So yeah, so cheers. Son, let me tell you, that shower head, man, that shower head. I enjoyed every shower I had here, which I know this has nothing to do with the convention, but the Westin Hotel in Irving, Texas, this is where it's at, man. This is where it's at, man. That shower head, baby. That shower head. So I bumped into a couple of different friends. I bumped into a set of friends at the very beginning of the convention, and then one at the very end. And to me, that was really cool, really awesome. People I did not even know were attending A-kon. Of course, does this mean anything to you, the viewer? I'm sorry, it doesn't. My bad. But for me, it was awesome. It was awesome, and I really hope all of them had a really good time at A-kon. But yeah, that made my day. That made both days. That made Friday awesome, and that made Sunday awesome. So I think that is about it as far as some of the positives. So let's get into some of the negatives. So this negative, I don't hold aggressively towards them. So the convention for years now at this point has been a 4-day convention. And this time it went back to a 3-day convention. Now, there could have been obvious reasons for this. This could have been them scaling back due to the funds for A-kon being smaller, just a smaller budget. This could have been due to the pandemic, just uncertainty, not knowing, will the turnout be good enough? There could have been various reasons for this. Now, this next point, which this is an important point, and they're going to have to figure out what to do next year. But just based off of even my years of experience of going to conventions, it was quite obvious to me that the Westin Hotel was very, very overwhelmed and some employees even a little stressed. So I think it was obvious that A-kon was just a little too big for this place, but they did their best to make it work. And by me saying overwhelmed, I'm going to point this out, and this is just me being honest. So I reserved a room maybe close to several months in advance. And when I got there, they're like, I reserved a room with 2 queens and I got a room with 1 king. And, I wasn't nasty about it, but I had to kind of apply a little pressure and say, hey, I have X amount of people with me. This is not going to work. We have to figure something out. Well, they managed to get us a rollout bed. So, I was grateful for that. But at the same time, it's like I reserved this way in advance and I should have got what I reserved. But, like I said, they helped us out. And like I said, the people there, actually, they were very friendly, very positive. But like I said, I could clearly tell they were overwhelmed. In fact, this is the first time I've ever been to A-kon, and we were a little early, but our room was not ready, and they told us we're a little behind also, and they wanted us to come back a little bit later, which I think they told us like between 3 and 4. Now, what I'm about to, this next section, this is not the fault of A-kon, but it was an issue. It was a major issue for a lot of attendees, and that is the Fanguru app. Now, I have used the Fanguru app at multiple conventions. This is the first time ever that I want to say Friday around 2 p.m. it just stopped working. And I would say even 4 years ago, people would be like, hey, if you want the schedule, just go to Fanguru. But then they would also have printouts that you could pick up if you wanted it physical. And here's the part where it personally affected me. So, complete disclosure, most of the time when I go to conventions, I will at least know what I'm going to do on the first day. So Friday, I will already know like what panels I want to go to. Okay, there's concerts at this time. Maybe I'll go to opening ceremony, things like that. And I'll also, at the very least, I will know, here's all the guests. Do I want to get anything signed? So I kind of went in a little cold and unprepared this year. And like, this is the first time in like a decade. And I was like, not a big deal. When I get there, I have more than enough time to look over stuff and figure it out. And I would say probably around 2 p.m., the Fanguru app just got slower and slower to the point where it just was not loading up. And I even downloaded it, and I feel like that just did nothing because I still had to go into the app. So it was a good thing that, one of my friends, he was familiar with Take One, and he was like, hey, let's check out Take One. So, we at least started off the convention with that, and we had something to check out. And of course, as well as the dealer's room and all the other stuff going on. Yeah, so I would also say there's a possibility I missed a panel in there, on the first day for sure. What's even worse is that at least I figured out where the concerts were. But I bumped into this guy on Saturday, and he just, I don't know why he approached me. He's like, hey, you look like you've been doing this for a long time. And he just rolls up on me, and he's like, hey, so do you know when the Japanese guests, the concerts, when are the concerts? And I'm like, oh, my man, I believe that was all on Friday. And, you could tell he was really disappointed. And he was like, well, the app hasn't worked for me at all. And he's like, how was I supposed to know that? And I was like, I know. Yeah, it's a bummer. Okay, so as much as it pains me to say this, the gaming room for 2019 was a straight monster. They killed it. They really did. They really did. If I were to be frank, so I've been going since A-kon since 2000. The gaming room for 2019 is like the best gaming room ever. Now, anyone else that's been going to A-kon as long or even longer, because I know they're out there, please let me know. Did I miss one? Because there was 1 year, maybe 2 years of A-kon I missed, and it was like something job related. But anyways, they killed it. I had my complaints with 2019, but 2019 gaming room, they killed it. We're talking about they had arcade cabinets, multiple arcade cabinets, some old games, some fighting games. They had CRT TVs for old school gaming. They had countless, and we're talking about countless, consoles and PCs for gaming tournaments. It was amazing. That room was amazing. And when you compare that to this year, yeah, it's lackluster. And there's no other way to describe it. It was lackluster. So the dealer's room. Now, I'm going to say this, that it is one of the main attractions. You know, I have some friends that that's all they look forward to is the dealer's room. And yes, it was smaller than 2019's, unfortunately. However, I will say that there were probably a couple of reasons this happened. Obviously, there's probably going to be some people that are still apprehensive about being in a highly congested area surrounded by people. With us barely, if you want to call it coming out of a pandemic, some people would still argue that we're still in it. But it was definitely smaller. It was noticeably smaller. Now, I will say this. That doesn't mean this dealer's room was not good. It does not mean it was small. It was smaller than what we're used to. But it was still a solid dealer's room. There was still plenty of stuff to buy, plenty of stuff to check out. I will say this, not only, the people coming in that are vendors, maybe there were less of them, I'm not sure. But even if we had the same amount, there's another dynamic to this, and that is the actual room was smaller. So I think even if they have it at the same place next year, if it's at the West End again, they're almost going to have like the artist alley and the dealer's room in separate places, because they might have a bigger turnout, more vendors or whatever. But that seems to be the only way they could make room. But really, like I said, it is ultimately and noticeably smaller. But like I said, there's multiple reasons why that could have been. Some of the decisions that were made makes me wonder if they had to work with a smaller budget or they thought the turnout would be lower due to coming out of a pandemic. It seems the consensus, though, was people were ready to get out of the house. And I'm curious what the real numbers are, just out of curiosity. But from the outside looking in, it appeared that A-kon was just too big for this location. So I'm going to mention a baby complaint. I know this is minor and insignificant to most people, but so 2019 and even the years before, we'll usually at least get like a free shirt. We'll get a shot glass or a mug, an A-kon mug, whatever. And then they'll usually throw in a comic or two. So this year, what did we get? Nothing. We got nothing. Now I understand that, like I said, maybe some cuts to the budget were made. And I know I did just brag about getting that open bar, but yeah, we didn't really get anything free. They did have some raffle drawings, but as far as just showing up, we usually get some free stuff, and that did not happen this year. So this next section, I don't necessarily include this in the negative category, but it is something I still wanted to talk about. And that is the panels and the guests. Now, I remember this in 2020, A-kon posted on Twitter, and they kind of did like a poll, and they just said, hey, what kind of guests do you want to see at A-kon? Which I will say this, doing it this way, this is kind of more leaning more towards, what the young people want to see. When they did this poll, what it ended up being was mostly streamers, YouTubers, and cosplayers. When I see the list of this year, what I mostly saw was lots and lots of cosplayers. And going back, remember what I said earlier in the video, that is what A-kon is known for. A-kon is known for having a strong cosplay fan base. So it makes sense that we got a lot of cosplayers. It wasn't just, people in some room, them favoring that. That is what a lot of the attendees want. I do feel personally they still should have sprinkled in a little bit more voice actors and just try to keep it a little balanced, because this time they were hitting hard with the cosplayers. And then I want to say in 2019 it still felt pretty diverse. They had a couple of YouTubers, and they were YouTubers I was familiar with. But they still had industry people as well, and that was another thing. And I could have missed this, but I believe I did not see any industry people at A-kon this year. And if you're wondering what I mean by industry people, I'm talking about like Crunchyroll, Funimation, that type of thing, Aniplex. But and I understand that there's some people, fans, that don't care for the industry panels. But hey, I'm old. The reason why I like the industry panels is because I can't keep up with all this crap, man. So it's nice for me to go to a panel and I have some people say, hey, here's the new stuff we're coming out. This is coming out at the end of the year. Are you ready? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ready. And then, you know, you watch the stuff and you're like, okay, that one was all right, but this one looked pretty good or whatever. Like I said, there could have been various reasons for that. I don't know if maybe the industry people didn't want to come or they had something else booked, or were they trying to save money? I have no idea. I will say this though, they did have the English voice actors for Demon Slayer and some people from Genshin Impact. I thought that was really cool, but like I said, I still would prefer a little more of a balance of guests. So after hearing all this, you're probably thinking to yourself like, yo, son, did you even enjoy yourself? Did you enjoy it? And I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, I did enjoy myself. And this kind of goes into my last and final point. I went to A-kon for, I don't know, maybe 5 years before I even went to just a regular panel. And that regular panel ended up being really, really interesting. And it's what got me in. And it was a panel, it was like a 30-year-old dude at the time that was talking about non-high school anime. And it was perfect for me. The panel itself was pure genius, and it was a fan-run panel. Shout out to that guy that escapes, his name escapes me. But seriously, I think you have to experiment and try different things. Because if you go to a convention only for the dealer's room, or you only go for gaming tournaments, or you only go for whatever it is, one of these days that thing might fall a little short, and then you're gonna have this attitude like, well, the convention failed me because this one thing I always look forward to, it was not as good as it's been in the past. I'll end it with this. I know that there's people that this was their first convention and they had a blast, and that's how it should be. But I understand that there's people that went to this convention and they thought it was perfect. And I'm happy for those people that thought it was perfect, because that's how it should be. Either way, you know, you have to understand that there was some people that saw the list of guests and they were like, oh! And then there's other people that they saw the dealer's room and they're like, this shit is crazy! You know, and they're just seeing it for the first time, and that's just their reaction. But it makes one wonder, like, how would those people react when A-kon is actually at their A game? Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Please leave a like. Please subscribe if you're interested. Let me know what conventions you're going to this year. I'm planning on going to a couple more, and I'm over here trying to break records. That's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to be going to quite a bit more conventions. Really look forward to it. Which, by the way, I have no idea how this video is going to look and how it's going to sound, but I'm doing big things right now. We're talking about big things. Like, I got a camera now, so now I'm legit. That's how it works in YouTube. I got a camera, and everything is all off. You know, I gotta readjust, recalibrate everything all over. But I have to admit, this has been pretty fun as well. I'm not gonna even lie. But just know that I'm or at least trying to put the best quality videos in front of you. I'm not playing games. I'm not messing with these clowns. I'm not talking about you, the viewer. I'm talking about everybody else. They're clowns. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch it. And like I said, please look forward to more. Still got some anime reviews on the way. And like I said, I'm going to try to cover these conventions as long as people are interested in checking them out. But anyways, it's been fun. Until next time, I will see you in the next video.